And we are live. All right, welcome everyone. Well, Selamat pagi. It is good morning here in Bali, Indonesia. 9 a.m. here on the other side of the world for many of you, and some of you it's 9 o'clock at night in the East Coast, 6 o'clock in the Pacific Coast, and if you are my friend Drew Innes over here in Sydney, Australia, or Manly Beach in Australia, it is, what time is it, Drew, 11 a.m.? Yeah, it's 11 a.m. for you. So we are covering the globe around the world. Guys, welcome. Welcome to this week's Freedom-Preneur show. I am your hostess with the mostest, Rhonda Swan, the unstoppable mama of the unstoppable family. Guys, this show is a value-based show. If many of you guys are brand new for the very first time, we are Freedom-Preneurs, and this is all about really exploring new ways, new options of how to live completely free, to earn free. Some of you might be travelers, vagabonds, right, like us. We've been traveling the world now for the last almost, 9 years, 10 years, 8 years. I don't even know what the numbers are anymore. We quit our corporate jobs over 11 years ago to leverage the digital economy, and this is the tribe that we bring together. Our tribe vibe is all about freedom. All of us have a commonality, and that is to make a difference in this world, to live free, to think free, and to learn the new strategies and technologies how to earn free. And that's what we're all about, guys. The digital economy is real, and it is in full force. So today's call, I'm really excited about today's show, guys. And we're going to really jump right to it because I have two powerful guests that are joining me. As many of you guys know, one of my comrades here, Drew Innes, from the Online Alliance and DrewInnes.com. You guys have been seeing Drew quite a bit, and if you're inside of our Freedom-Preneur Academy, you're going to see a lot more of Drew because the Freedom-Preneur movement and the Online Alliance have partnered together so that we can serve more Freedom-Preneurs around the world. In fact, our motto is helping you, learn how to build your own individual business, to build a brand and a legacy that you love and you care about. And many people are looking to leverage additional multiple streams of income or additional opportunities. And Drew and his crew are our go-to guys. They are partners in crime for really being the one-stop shop for freedompreneurs for all over the world. Because some of you want to leverage high ticket, you want to understand how to add that into your business portfolio. And so we've now partnered with the best of the best. I always say the best are coming together to make the best and the biggest changes in the world. And I have our hot seat guy here that I'm really excited to have is Micheal Oliver. Guys, many of you are in sales, and if you hear the word sales and it makes you feel sticky or it makes you freak out, like, I don't want to have anything to do with sales, well, you're in the right place because we're going to change a bit of your perception, if you will, and change your reality a bit because I think a lot of us have been trained and feel the word sales and it scares us. And so we have brought on Micheal Oliver, and the last time I spoke with you, Micheal, was in 2009, and I know that my business changed from the moment I heard the word detachment. And so let me do a really quick introduction, and I know that Drew wants to really fully welcome you because you have not only influenced my family, my business, and the way I communicate with others, but you've also changed the way that Drew's business has developed. And I know that the two of you have been working so personally together, and Drew asked, can I just introduce Micheal? But let me give a really quick one for my audience and those of you that are here. Make some noise down below, guys. Let us know where you're from and how excited you are for this show today. And we will be able to take your questions. So on the right-hand side of this show, you're able to ask some questions, interact with each other, and more importantly, share the love with the world of what's going to happen today because we want more freedompreneurs to learn from this value-based show, and what a better way to do it than is to share the love. But guys, I'm really happy to introduce Micheal Oliver. He's actually been one of the top-tier generic trainers and coaches for over the last 19 years in the field of direct sales, including network marketing. He has a breakthrough product or actually book, which is the How to Sell Network Marketing Without Fear, Anxiety, or Losing Your Friends. But it's not just about network marketing, and it's been the bestseller for years, guys. Micheal has created the natural selling sales training that has helped tens of thousands of people worldwide take the fear and out of approaching and talking with people about their business. Guys, this to me is one of the most powerful ways to, and really the motto of a Freedom-Preneur, how to really help you become successful and feel good about what you're doing and approach people in a way that feels right and allows you to ask the right questions. So with without any further ado, Micheal, welcome to our show. Welcome to our tribe, the Freedom-Preneur tribe. So great to see your smiling voice. And by the way, I know that you just had a birthday, didn't you?
I did.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And you're going to be heading out to the UK very soon, I noticed on your Facebook page, because we were, stalking you.
I am. I'll be out there next week and then going on to Croatia.
Oh, awesome. Well, I know that we actually have some our tribe members that are from Croatia, so if you're here...
I wish you hadn't said that, because now I'm going to get a lot of grief from Drew.
Uh-oh.
He is, I actually call Micheal the most holidayed person I know. Whilst he makes out that he's doing all of these fabulous public speaking events all around the world, I actually know he's just a big-time holiday slacker.
Yeah, I told you.
I think we all, Drew and I think, Micheal, we have been busting our buns lately, just really working to serve more. We're like, wait a minute, I thought we were living this Freedom-Preneur lifestyle. Get out of it.
The secret of life is to reduce your work to a minimum.
Absolutely. Well, welcome, Drew. It's great to have you here. I know that you've got some, even more connected experience working with Micheal most recently over the last several years, actually, and your coaching business really developed from that. Why don't you open up the stage a bit so that we can kind of get Micheal on the hot seat and get some good questions from him and really soak up some of this amazing knowledge that you've got to share with our group today.
Is that me?
It's you. Your name is...
Is that me? Okay, so I'm super excited, obviously, to have Micheal here. In fact, mate, I don't know whether you got the notice on Facebook, but it was actually a year ago last week that you and I were in Thailand together. 1 year ago. Do you believe that? I can't believe that.
1
year ago, just last week.
That seemed like last week.
I know, it does seem last week. So how you came to be here, I just want to tell a little bit about the backstory because, I'm a student. I'm a student that's committed to ongoing personal development and skills development. And it was about, I don't know, a month or so ago, I sort of messaged Rhonda and I said, oh, Rhonda, we have to get Micheal Oliver onto the Freedom-Preneur show. And the reason being was because being an avid student of your material, every morning when I go for a cycle on my bike, boom, it's the tape that I listen to. Like I listen to it over and over and over and over. Because as many people on this call would realize, one of my primary skill sets is high-ticket sales. In fact, that's what I sort of focus on as part of my contribution to the Online Alliance and the Top Tier Academy. And, if you want to be a master of any craft, you have to be committed to the practice. So every day for months, I've just been listening over and over and over to the audio program that you produced many, many years ago. And the thing that I love so much about it is it's actually timeless material that can actually not just affect your sales performance, but actually every area of your life. And I said to Rhonda, we've got to get Micheal on, if nothing else, just to share the fundamentals of the audio program, because if the Freedom-Preneur movement take that material on board and make a decision to become a student, as I've done, of the material, then it won't just affect your business, but it's going to affect the way that you communicate with your children. It's going to affect the way that you communicate with your wife. It's going to allow you to create, I think, just better relationships generally across the board with anyone that you come in contact with, because it changes your approach, and not in a contrived way, but the way in which you approach and communicate with everyone once you have the fundamental skills inside of you. And that's why I said to Rhonda, we got to get Micheal here. But just before I hand off to you, mate, I just want to tell people a funny story. I can remember when I first came across your material back in 2009. And you know that saying that you don't know what you don't know? in 2009, people used to criticize me for being a fairly aggressive marketer, and I was, because I was replicating what I thought I was seeing, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And I can remember at the time, I'd even taken all of your material because I'd read a little bit about it, and I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, but I don't really know too much about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on my website, and I'm going to associate myself with it, right, because I know people are going to be interested in this. And off I went. I didn't get any consent. I just sort of did it. And then I can remember about 6 months later, I received this polite email, because you're a thoroughly polite gentleman. and it was a, Mr. Innes, I can see that you're using my material without consent on your website, and I want to inform you that you're in breach of copyright, and I would like you to remove it immediately. And I'm like thinking, that bastard, who does he think he is? I'm like thinking, but at the same time, I'd learnt a little bit more by then, and I thought, you know what? I want to be totally respectful here. So I responded to you and I said, Michael, I've got to tell you, I've been looking at your material more seriously, and I am a raving fan of what you're doing and what you're teaching, and I hope one day that I can learn these skills and maybe get the chance to meet with you. And here we are.
No, hanging out all over the world.
And you know, as the handoff now to you, for everyone on the call, I do regard Michael as a friend. I actually regard him as, you know, one of my mentors, and I affably refer to him as Sensei, because he's an absolute legend in this area of natural selling, connecting, communicating with people. And mate, it's an absolute honour to be here with you on the show today.
Thank you.
Over to you.
All right, there you
What
go.
would you like to know?
Why don't we start? May I ask, just kind of ask you some questions, Michael? I know that we're just going to get rolling here, but there's one thing that stands out for me, and I think that this is probably many people in our industry, right? We've been in online marketing and network marketing for a very long time, although this is not the exclusive group. You know, we've got small business owners, parents, whatever it may be, that are utilizing communication and sales every single day. You know, when I trained in pharmaceutical sales, we used, I know my husband Brian used a Sandler method. We used, I don't even remember the method that we used back then, but it was
ABC, always be closing.
Exactly. Look, I have it on my big paper. If anyone knows me, I'm a big paper. Like I'm a big paper writer, so I write everything on my big paper, so I can keep it big close to me. But ABC, it was always that, always be closing, always have an agenda. And I tell you what, Michael, when I heard you speak for the very first time, the word detachment kept coming up. And I had never heard that before in relations to sales. The moment you said, just be truly interested in them and be attached from the sale, I felt a whole just energy drop where I had no more anxiety about communicating. Will you please touch on the power of detachment in utilizing natural selling and how we can help others ease a bit of their fear and begin connecting?
Yeah, sure. Detachment, or letting go, is in a sense the secret sauce or the essence behind the 4 principles of natural selling. And it's actually what makes it work. It's the juice behind it. And detachment is a really fascinating subject, because what happens is that if you understand the law of detachment, is that you can actually create from there. And letting go requires us to let go of just about everything. And it's the antithesis of the ABC, always be closing. Because the always be closing is based on the fact that the focus is on us to make a sale. Okay, and so it's always on us. And so you get down to purpose of a business. What's the purpose of a business? Purpose of a business, which is one of the fundamental principles, is to help people solve their problems. Now, if you ask that in a group of people, and most people, they say the purpose of business is to make sales, or purpose of business is to make money, or personal fulfillment, whatever it is. But the focus is always on that person. And the more you put the focus on you, the more nervous you get, the more if you like, tension that you have. But as soon as I take the focus off me and put it on you, then the tension goes away because it's no longer about me. So the purpose of business is really about other people, helping other people solve their problems or to achieve their needs, wants, or desires. And the way to really do that effectively is to let go of your need, many, many needs, and one of them is your need to sell. Is that your need to get this person to do something, go to a website, buy something, whatever, just detach from it. And it's the antithesis of corporate selling or any other kind of selling. You know, you listen to most people who talk to you about selling. It's all about telling your story, especially in direct sales and network marketing. It's all about presenting and telling your story as soon as you can. And then you step into sort of closing a person on the deal, and then treating every comment, concern, or question as an objection to be overcome. And what happens is that this creates a resistance that you don't want. So the actual conventional way of selling creates resistance that you're really trying to avoid. So we do it to ourselves. So the moment we start using conventional selling techniques, then we are helping the other person building blocks against us. So the whole aspect of detachment is really part of the idea of dialogue. Dialogue is when you is when you let go of your need to tell, your need to be right, your need to get a business card in someone's hands, your need to tell them about your business, every single need that you can think of. You just detach from it. And it doesn't mean to say that you're so totally detached. If you were, you'd be living in sort of a nice floaty state. You might as well go move to a monastery. But the whole point is you sort of put what it is you want up on a shelf. Right? You just tuck it away. So when you're in conversation with people, you're focusing on them, and you're focusing on what they want and why they want it. That's primarily what you're doing, what they want and why they want it. And the reason you do that is because people have all the answers. You know, we think we have the answers. We don't. We have the answers to a possible solution, but they have the answers to their lives. They know everything. They know what they want. They know why they want it. So why don't we ask them? But in the process, we can't break in and try and override them with our own ideas, with our own interpretation of what they're saying, and so on. We literally have got to let go. And the more we let go and understand that, then we create an energy. And the energy that is created, and you can start that literally before you start talking with people. People pick up on your energy. And when you do that, you basically create a space into which you have stepped, because you're no longer attached to what it is that you want to say or do. You step into the space, and the other person will come into it with you. You probably heard of the Sufi saint Rumi, right? Heard of Rumi? Rumi said, you know, beyond the wrongdoing, beyond the right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. And so what happens is that the two of you work together. So your potential partner, your potential customer, the two of you work together in harmony to work out how you can potentially help this other person with your product or service or solution, or maybe somebody else's product, service, or solution. And that's the whole thing. They don't know this. I mean, you're not explaining to them. It's just the way you come over, and they just step in. They look at you as you're being a very nice person. They look at you as somebody very rapidly they can know, like, and trust, because that's, you know, how we buy things from people. Because it's all based on the fact they're thinking, gee, this person seems to understand me. You know, they understand where I'm coming from. But the only reason we understand where they're coming from is they're telling us where they're coming from. It's very magical.
Well, you know, and I love this magic. I almost feel like it's a dance, right? It's like that. Yeah. It's like a beautiful dance. You're asking the right questions. You're kind of grooving, because otherwise you're just coming at someone like a bulldozer. And can you? I know a lot of people are asking, well, but how do I let go? Like, how do I actually let go? What is that process that someone would go through? For instance, let's say that you're someone's approaching, you know, someone that was inquiring about their business. How would they let go? What would the process they would take? And maybe some of the questions that they can start creating this dancing dialogue to make themselves not only feel better, but then also allow that tension to be relieved from the customer, or the potential prospect, if you will.
Well, it depends on the approach, because each approach is different. It depends on if someone's actually asking you about your business. But one of the things about letting go is to be aware the first step to change is awareness. I mean, that's the only thing. Most of us are unaware in life. We live our lives, if you like, unaware. We live it at a conscious level. And there's the unconscious, subconscious, which is really, the software, which is messing us around. As Eckhart Tolle puts it, it's both the sort of the arsonist and the fireman as well. And so the first step is awareness. So as soon as you're aware that there is something else that you can explore and challenge, what your subconscious, which you built up very early in years, is that this is the driving force, and realize that there might be something in detachment. Is start being aware that you are attached to certain things. So as soon as you start telling people things, become aware that you're telling them, and stop and see if you can turn what you're telling into asking questions. All right. So that's kind of one small aspect of doing it. So it really depends on how someone's approached you. So if for example, if someone has answered an ad on the internet or in a paper or something like that, and they've left a message and you call them, the idea that they are seeking information is correct on one hand, but they're actually not seeking information. They're seeking for you, though they don't necessarily know it. They need to sort of understand what they're looking for. And so you can ask a direct question, and the question is very simple, and you can interpret in a lot of different ways. So what was it about the ad? What was it about what I just said? What was it about that other person said? Or what was it about what you saw, okay, that attracted your attention? What was it about whatever that made you come and talk with me? It's like if at a booth, you're at a trade show and you've got a product and someone says, so what does this do? And the idea is you instead of replying directly necessarily, there's a way of replying and that you can turn into question. What I call, it's a very powerful elevator speech, but I call it introduction speech. And you do a little overview. We don't have time to do it here, but that's generally the idea. And you always start with a question. It's like networking. You go to networking places, and if you ask most people what's the objective of networking, and they'll say, well, it's to have about your business and find business. And it's like, yeah, the second part, find business, is good, but don't talk about your business. If you want to have people, here's a clue for you. If you want to have people interested in your business, don't talk about your business.
Boom.
Talk about them. Allow them to talk about them, to be more precise. And so you can have fun at networking meetings because everyone knows why you're there, why everyone's there. And my favorite question is just to walk up to someone, introduce myself, and say, so how can I help you?
Mm. It's interesting. I love that. How can I help you? Because you're open up to someone feeling that you really are truly there interested in them. It makes me think of this statement, sell the destination, not the plane. I use that quite a bit when I'm, communicating with, some of my students, because most people, when I learned in sales techniques, it was feature to benefits, right? That's what we learned in our old sales techniques. This is what we can do, but it had nothing to do with what was in it for them. And I think that's a pitfall that a lot of new marketers have. I'll sometimes have reference it to, like, you just kind of throw up on your prospect, look at everything we got, right? Instead of taking the small baby steps to get to know someone. So would you go through, because I know that there's, really the main 4 steps towards natural selling. Would you kind of go through that? Because I jumped into detachment because that was something that really connected with me when I first met you. It was like something, it just clicked for me that, wait a minute, all I'm just doing is asking about why they inquired with me. And I'm just finding out how I can help them more. So if I don't really care about the sale, then I'm more relaxed. And it just changed my world. But would you mind going through the 4 stages, the 4 steps that really help create the foundation of natural selling?
Well, you got to look at first before doing that is what's behind those 4 principles. They're actually principles, and it's really to do with people's fear. It's like if you ask the question, say, what's the greatest fear that holds most people back, salespeople back, from talking with people? They talk about fear of rejection or fear of objection. So it's the resistance. They can't face it. And the reason they have that fear is because they've either been subjected to most in their lives, or they're taught a way of selling which is very conventional, and is comprised of basically three components. And the first component is to present what you think are the features, advantages, and benefits. And when you do that, you're guessing. You know, you're told many times to tell your story. Well, who cares about your story? You know, unless it's relevant to their story or relevant to what it is they might or might not be looking for. And so the first thing that happens is that you create resistance by presenting what you think and guessing what you think are the features that are going to work for this person. And most times they don't work. So immediately, person's putting up barriers, because the two things that a person is afraid of is how long is this going to take, especially in a presentation, and what are you going to make me do? That's what they're going through their minds. And so the barriers start coming up. And then you look at the whole closing aspect, you know, close often, close now, close whatever. So when you're closing, what are you doing? You're putting pressure on a person because you're persuading them to do what you want them to do. And when you get persuasion like that, you know, it's like pushing against a shoulder. You go and push against someone's shoulder, they'll either resist or they'll push back. You know, the people are sort of in different modes there. And so the whole idea of closing doesn't work, and it builds up even bigger barriers because the person now is objecting, okay, with regards to objections, they're objecting to your behavior. And so they haven't listened to anything you've said anyway. They built up all these barriers because they're protecting themselves. And then you come in with the other whammy, is that as soon as they come back with a reply, a question, or a comment, okay, their comment or question or reply is treated as though it is of no value, because the whole process is about treating it as an objection to be overcome. So you're totally dishonoring the person. And I'll guarantee you that when someone asks you a question, most times you don't know what the real question is. So when you try to and overcome it, okay, you're totally disregarding it, totally dishonoring them. And so a person gets fed up, they just move on. So how do you overcome this? Well, the way that you change it is, and the critical distinction between the conventional way of selling, which is based on externally persuading people to do what you want them to do, and natural selling, is that you're helping a person to internally persuade themselves to make a change, okay? And that's what it's all about. It's about making a change. Anytime you shift from one place to another, you're making a change. So we have to look upon ourselves as change agents. And so the first thing, as I mentioned before, is that we've got to look at that our business is not about us. Our business is about helping other people solve their problems. And I'll prove it to you. If I went to you and sat in front of you and you knew we were going to do some business, or I wanted to do some business, and you said to me, so Michael, what's the purpose of your business? I said, well, actually the purpose of my business today, Rhonda, is to make some money. You know, how would you feel about that? You wouldn't feel so good, would you?
Exactly.
Right? I turn around and say, well, the purpose of my business is to find out or discover if something that I've got can help you make your life better, make your business better, whatever it is. And what I like to do is ask you a few questions to find out if that's true or not. All of a sudden, the dynamics change, okay? And so if you accept that the purpose of business is to help other people solve their problems, or to satisfy wants, needs, and desires, okay, then there's a way of going about it. So you've got to do what? You've got to, the only way you can help someone do that, you've got to what? Ask questions. So it's not about just asking questions, it's also asking the right types of questions at the right time. So you can learn 7 different types of questions. Yep. seven different types of questions. It was my birthday last week there, Drew. Can
you still count them on your fingers?
Yeah. 7 different types of questions.
He was 52. He was 52.
Yeah. It looks like 25 to me. Okay.
And here's the interesting part. You know, the reason you ask questions is that the primary reason is that questions involve people. You know, telling and presenting doesn't involve. Questions involve people. And if you're coming from this place of detachment, so you're not asking direct questions which are geared towards trying to get a sale. You're letting go of the sale, right? It becomes a very intimate conversation. People will tell you stuff that they would even tell their closest friends, their parents, their spouses and stuff like this. And why is it they don't tell them that? Because they don't listen. You know, their closest friends, spouse, they don't listen because they're busy trying to work out what they want to say next. And so if you're listening, which is the third principle, listening to what is being meant as well as what is being said. Okay, and there are two dynamics there. Said is the logical side. So, for example, if I asked you a question and said, so what would make a huge difference in your life right now, Rhonda? And you said money, having more money. Okay, that's said, that's logical. And most people jump on that. Most direct sales people, most network marketers say, aha, I can show you how to do that. Okay, but it's just a fact. A fact belongs to the world. It's just a fact. But there are reasons why a person wants more money. So if you said, well, why is that important to you? Or why do you want more money? Then you sort of open it up. And that's the meant side. And that starts becoming personal. And each one of us wants money for different reasons. Each one of us here, if I asked everyone who's listening in and said, so what would more money do for you? And you said, well, I could travel more. Okay, even then, even though the words travel, okay, are the same, the reason behind that is totally different. We all do things totally for our own reasons. And if you ask, people will tell you. So when you come to present, or the fourth aspect of that is about feeding back, responding, you know, treating people's comments, concerns, questions as how can I say, with respect, finding out what they're about. So it becomes part of the dialogue. In conventional selling, when you treat someone's remark as an objection, you separate the whole conversation. It becomes a separate item, and you're battling with each other. When someone has a comment, excuse me, or a question, you know, it's part of the dialogue, it's part of the process. And so as you go through this, and here's where the magic happens, the other piece of the magic, is that this is your presentation. Asking questions in your presentation, you don't have to present. You're obviously going to have to present your solution a little bit later, and there's a way of transitioning into that. But you don't have to present. The presenting is done for you. And the reason is that as people ask your questions, they're very powerful questions, they listen to themselves as they're talking. And as they listen to themselves, they're feeling what it's like in here and up here to be in their present situation.
Yeah.
And they're bringing the current reality of the past, where they've been living and residing based on all their experiences and stuff like this. And they're bringing it into the moment, in the present moment. It's a present moment conversation. And so they're talking about it, and they're feeling what it's like. And so when you start suggesting that there might be alternatives, which is based on the future, and you start bringing that, what you're doing is you're creating moving their current reality in the present moment and bringing the past and the future together. And what normal selling does is try to jump from the past, the current reality of the past, into the future. And the future is a fantasy for most people. The future is it's not even a dream. It's well, you know, it'll never happen to me. But the conversation actually brings it together. And suddenly the dream, the fantasy becomes real. And you're having this real conversation about what it would be like to be able to do the things that money would do for you, for example. So in essence, that's kind of it in a kind of a long amble, you know, how this thing works, sort of.
That's unreal.
And if you ever really do work it out, let me know, okay?
One of my observations with the material, and obviously I've studied all of your stuff, mate, and respect you immensely, is that there's no right or wrong to this as well. You know, like it's a bit like you've got to sort of commit to being a student of this, and the mastery probably never ever comes, and that's why, you know, we say there's a real art and science to this, because, you know, whilst we talk about the 5 stages of dialogue, and I posted those up on the Facebook page a moment ago, or on the chat, what I like about the material and the way that you train it is that there's no right or wrong. You know, a conversation can be woven, you know, you can go from stage 1 to stage 5 and back to stage 2 and over to stage 3. It's really, where I suppose the art of it comes into play is how well you're listening, how truly heart-centered and engaged you are in the other person's problem and what they're feeling through the communication. Because if you are sort of tuned into that, then there is no start or end point to this. It literally is just a conversation that can go anywhere. So the material, I think, can be learned. Like when we talk about the principles, can somebody sort of sit down and learn the principles of natural selling? Yeah, well, they can learn that because they can read it, they can internalize it, they can feel it, and hopefully they can take it on board. And then can they sort of learn I'd probably call it the science, the stages of the dialogue, and then through more conversations become artful somewhat in the connecting and communicating. I think they can do that. What are your thoughts around that? Because I know
Sure,
in the audio program. Sorry, you go.
You can learn it in a mechanical way, no trouble at all. In fact, some of the best people turn out to be salespeople. They tend to be analytical. They tend to be technicians, that type of thing, because they treat it as a kind of a systems, like a system chart. And it's a process. And it's a process of just understanding. One of the things, for example, I share with you is that is about objective. If you ask most salespeople or most distributors and so on, so what's your objective? They'll say it's to make a sale. Well, we're beginning to understand now is that can cause all sorts of disturbance and tension inside your body because the focus is on you. But see, the objective is really to find out if there's a sale to be made in the first place. And so your objective is really about three things. It's about what they want, why they want it, and how they prepare to make a change. So it's three things. And that's the conversation. It's got nothing to do with your product. Because if a person isn't prepared, if a person doesn't have a problem, you can't help them. If a person has a problem and they're not prepared to make a change for whatever reason, it could be that they've become very, very comfortable with that problem over the years. Okay, people become comfortable with their discomfort. You've got a harder chance of helping them, but you can do it. And then there are people who reveal that they have had their problems, and they will be open to listening to you. Why? Because you've listened to them. So law of reciprocity, law of karma, it's the law of give and take, right? So you can learn the process with it, but to understand is the objective has to change. Your objective is to find out if there is a sale to be made in the first place. And it's a very simple process. There's nothing complicated about it at all. Very, very simple process. And it's only then, and you've qualified them and said, so let me ask you, if there's a way that you could change your present situation, and something came along, would you do it if the right thing came along? Is that something you would do? Do it right now? And they can only give you a yes, maybe, or no answer. Okay? And whatever they say is fine. If it's no, then it's fine. You move on. There's the phrases you can use to sort of transition and move forward, move through. If they say yes, then you gently introduce what it is that you do. But there's a way of doing that as well, so it transitions very, very smoothly, and a person sort of naturally just progresses towards it. They want to listen to it. They want to know. So the way you do that is, and it's really based on, you talk about five. It's really 5 stages of a conversation, but within that stage is the discovery stage, of which there are 7 different types of questions, which are very easily learned. And the reason they're broken into types of questions is because there are hundreds of ways of asking questions, and so you want to understand a little structure there. And you can just project it in your mind. You just learn it, project it in your mind, and as you're having a conversation, if you get stuck, you just go quiet. People love silence. Silence is what? Silence is golden, right?
Golden.
Let's go quiet. And yeah, and you can think, what kind of question? Oh, I know. I'll ask another needs awareness question. But it happens in a nanosecond. You don't have that conversation, but it takes time. And you just
sometimes I do.
Well, there you go.
What question am I going to ask for now?
But here's another thing: is well, first of all, you just start. The moment you start doing it, you notice the difference. People will respond to you. I mean, in fact, what will happen is you'll find that people will be so open with their information, you'll just stare at them. You won't even know what to ask or say next because you'll just be astounded. Okay, this is what a lot happens. And other times, as you progress and you get better and you're not too sure what to say next, you just shut up. It's amazing, by just shutting up, what people will tell you. They'll tell you, they won't tell you certain stuff. For example, you might ask a fairly deep question and they'll go quiet. And you just shut up and then suddenly start pouring it all out. Yeah. Everything you need to know to make a good presentation.
I think many people, they're so afraid of silence, and I can say that because I know me being one of them. It was, especially in sales. I'm immediately thinking, I've got to know what to say next. I've always got to, what can I say next to inspire them to want to like me, or what can I say next so they want to listen? And the moment that you actually get really good with silence and you appreciate what silence does for a conversation, it really does change the whole environment. And it's funny because I remember when I first started practicing natural selling, it was really hard for me to just stop. But what I found, this became my best ally, was that I wasn't always quite sure what all the questions were and what to ask next was. So my silence was because I had no idea what to ask. And it really helped me. So I turned that freak out fear or anxiety of what do I say next to these people to help engage this conversation to just waiting in peace in that moment, and then they start talking back. So you're right. Some people use it and get scared. What is this?
Have a look at that.
Silent, listen, and list.
Yep.
What is it?
Silent, listen, and list.
Yeah. Will you share a bit more about what does that mean in list?
I mean, that's, well, no, what I'm saying is, it's a, what's the word? They're all the same letters, aren't they?
Yes.
They are.
So, I mean, being silent is very, very powerful there. Now, then the whole thing is and not to treat this as manipulation, I mean, I like talking about it, but this is not a way to get people to do things.
That's right.
This is, again, if you do that, people will pick up on it, and it'll backfire on you down the line, because you'll find that you will enroll people who really didn't want to do it in the first place. And the key here is really focus on, if you really want to help a person to succeed at business, make sure that they're committed to making a change, and make sure all the way through. It's not a numbers game; it's a quality game. And I don't know if you know this, but in network marketing or in direct sales, is that let's talk about network marketing just as an example. You only need to enroll one person a month over 12 months. Okay, to rebuild a very good business. And what I mean by that is this, is that you enroll one person, and then that person enrolls one person. Let's say they kind of cloned you, and they came you, and they just enrolled a person. They learned how to go about this, as a quality kind of conversation, as opposed to quantity, right? And each person did the same thing. So the person you enrolled would actually enroll about another 11 people. The next month when you enroll that person, okay, because when you've got 11 months, they would enroll 10 people. And so by the time you enrolled the last person, the 12th person, they wouldn't enroll anyone at all. All right. So just think in those terms. You would have any idea how many people you would have in your team?
Thousands.
Yeah, if they're all
4,096. You'd have 4,096 just by enrolling one person a month who is dedicated and wanting to make a change in their life. It's not about making money. They want to make a change in their lives through helping other people make changes in their lives. So let's say you could just clone that, okay? 4,096. That's huge. And let's say you're only 10% right. Let's say you followed all the stats and God knows what else, right? And you're only 10% right. How many people have you got in your team? You've got over 400 people. I mean, that's more than what most people have. I mean, there are companies in Europe, that have barely got 20. They've been around for 3-4 years. They've barely got 20 active distributors on board. Why? Because they keep on teaching the same old stuff about going out and telling people your story and everything, and they can't seem to get any traction. Yep. They're too impatient.
They are. So you mentioned, mate. You mentioned that you've got to be. I call it heart-centered. You've got to have the right intent right from the get-go. Can you just talk a little bit around that? Because I know you and I have often talked about this, that if somebody becomes very skillful at natural selling, it's a bit like Star Wars, isn't it? It's a little bit like they've got a bit of Luke Skywalker going on, and they've got Darth Vader. Because we can use it for good or evil, can't we?
We can, yeah.
Yeah, we can. We can. So how does somebody...
The husbands are peeking their minds up going, maybe I need to get better at this than my wife.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let me tell you, the worst thing that you want to do if you're a man on the call is give your wife this information, because you will be buying shoes, handbags, expensive, like literally, you will be manipulated and used to the end of days. Michael and I often laugh about that. It's funny that you talked about, it's this old old age adage of saying, when you meet someone for the first time, be interested, not interesting. And I can remember when I met Lulu for the first time, and it was one of the major attraction factors for me was that she just asked me lots of questions, and the more questions she asked, the more intrigued I became in her, the more attracted I became to her. And that really created the long-term stickability. So that it's just little simple things like that. When you're about to go into a social situation, just remind yourself, be interested, not interesting. And one of the most powerful things that I took away from the book is the most powerful thing that you can do is actually ask the first question. If how a lot of people sort of freak out about finding themselves in a networking situation, and they're like going, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to mingle? Am I going to be the wallflower? Am I going to be the odd person out? The best thing that you can do is swallow your courage, step into the room and just find somebody and start asking questions. Lead with a question, because the moment you do that, you're now interesting to them, because they're going to start spilling the beans on whatever's going on in their situation.
Well, it's interesting you're saying to swallow your courage, because to me, it takes more courage to go and try and present and tell someone what you're doing and persuade them that what you've got, needs to be listened to and so on, and you go into presentation, than it is to ask a question. I mean, the whole idea, for example, of having fun at a networking meeting is saying, so if it is a networking meeting, is saying with a smile on your face, introducing yourself, saying, so how can I help you? And they'll look at you and say, I don't know. How can you help me? And you say, I don't know, but if I ask you a few questions, we might be able to find out. And you ask them a question. And it relaxes people. I mean, it's really easy. I mean, another one is if you're at a networking meeting and you're in business, you've got business people, and you want to start a conversation, go ahead and start a conversation and say, so let me ask you a question. You're a pretty successful business person, I know. What's the one thing you think that you owe your success to? And they'll tell you. They'll start talking to you. And you've broken the ice. And why will they start talking to you? Because they're talking about the most fascinating person in the world, which is themselves. And here's the interesting thing, is that while they're talking about the most fascinating person in the world, which is themselves, you become the most fascinating person in the world.
Yeah, because you're asking them the right questions.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. They like you. Here's another one I can give you as well, if you want. This is kind of starter. Just go and say to somebody, so let me ask you a question. If there's one thing that would change your life, make a huge difference in your life right now, what would that be? That's a conversation starter, and that really will open up. People will tell you that sometimes they go very, very deep. In a business situation, that's what I do. Is I'm asking people and say, so let me ask you. Before they say anything, we introduce ourselves, and before they say, I ask them straight questions. So let me ask you, if there's one thing you could change in your business right now that would make your business better, what would that be? And if it's got nothing to do with sales, then I know there's no point in having a conversation. But if it's got nothing to do with it, I say, so what would be the second thing? And they give it to me. If it's got nothing to do with the sales, I'll ask one more time, so what's the third thing? And if it's got nothing to do with sales, I say, you know what, shake them by the hand and say, I'm exploring to see if I can help you, but it's not an area of expertise. However, I might know of someone who could help you if I do know of somebody, right? And there's no point in continuing. And that's how you move through a room really, really quickly. So if you've got 20, 30 people, you should be able to go through a room very, very quickly and walk away with 2 or 3 business cards, and they still don't know who you are. Because after you've asked them a question, they say, yes, for example, for me, I have trouble with my sales team or whatever. I'm going to say, so what kind of problems do you have? and I'll ask 2, 3, 4 questions. That's it. I won't get into any deep conversation. So if there's a way you could resolve that sort of easily and effectively, is that something that's really important to you that you really like to do? And they're going to say, yeah. Why, you know something? You say, yeah, I think I might be able to help you there. What are you doing tomorrow morning? And I'll come by, or I'll call you on the phone. So I don't want to talk about it there. Okay, it's another aspect of letting go. Even though you go, well, this is a hot one. It's not a hot one. It's not a situation to do it. You want to let go, leave them intrigued, and then you set up time to call them again. They'll remember the conversation. You pick up the phone and say, you remember you said this, this, and this? Okay, let me ask you a few more questions. Find out more.
Well, I'm looking at some questions here, Michael, because we've got such a vast amount of people from all different walks of life. Some of them own their own personal, businesses, brick and mortar, and others are network marketers or online marketers. One specific question is coming in from Tom, and I want to kind of hear what your response would be, so that he can get a bit more perspective. He's asking, how can I help you? It tends to kind of make him feel like, you've been through a good sales course. Like many people from sales courses are asking those type of questions. Are there any other questions that you could ask that can give the same outcome as how can I help you more? Tom said it makes him feel a bit sticky when somebody asks that same question.
Yeah, okay. Let's put it in context. The context is at a networking meeting. Why would you feel sticky when everyone knows why you're there? You're there to exchange business cards, to persuade people to do what you want them to do, except now all of a sudden you're reversing that. You're not trying to persuade someone. You're with a smile on your face. You're saying, with great come to way, saying, so how can I help you? It's a fun remark. It's not meant to be serious. It's not a sales thing. And I will guarantee you, let's put it this way, if you enter into that question with that attitude, that mind, it'll come across as a sales shtick, right? But if you enter it with a natural selling mind, which is where I'm coming from, and detached from everything, and use it as a bit of fun, it immediately relaxes the other person. They don't think, oh, this is a sales thing. They'll just laugh, and they'll just say, I guarantee, they will just say, I don't know, how can you help me? And you say, I don't know either, but if I ask you a few questions, maybe we'll find out together. And that's it. And people love talking about themselves. So that's the way I respond to that one. I mean, other ways of opening, I just gave you a couple there. Things that you could lead to. It depends on who you're talking with. I mean, I have an audio program. It's called 12 Ways to Start Effective Conversations Without Fear. And in fact, let's do this right now while I think about it. What I suggest doing, if this resonates, people want to find out more, if they haven't already done so, they can go to my website, naturalselling.com, and they can get an e-course there. At the moment, it's free. I'm going to be charging for it fairly soon. It'll just be a small amount, but it's just a way we're setting things up. And it's called 7 Steps to Rejection-Free Natural Selling, and explains why you get rejected, because you want to look at the cause of the problem, why you have the fear, and what you can do about it, the 4 principles. There's also, so what I'm going to do this is, if anyone is interested, they can go there, they can download it, they can look at it, and go through it. And if they send me an email, having completed it, and it's something that they want to know more about, here's a little gift for everyone. Is that if they write, send me an email, info@naturalselling.com, I'll send them the audio download of 12 ways to start effective conversations without fear. And there's a whole bunch of information on there, okay? But you got to be interested in doing this, And by the way, if you send me an email, literally sort of 2 hours after this call is finished, I know that you haven't read the e-course, so I will politely decline your request for the gift.
I love that. If you guys didn't hear that, Michael did just give us all a gift. Go to naturalselling.com. Make sure that you guys know that. We'll put this in the side chat as well. But I love that answer though, because it really does come down to the intention, the way that you feel when you're asking a question, and it's if you're already feeling weird about it, then that's why you're going to get that weirdness back. For instance, I remember when we started, kind of learning the method, and I was always getting these questions, what is it that you do? Immediately. And a lot of it had to do with just the way that I felt about the question, right? I was so attached to what they were going to say that I felt like I was causing these people to respond that way. And then once I just said, hey, I want to talk to you about, you asked me about some information about my business or how I can assist you better. Like I'll use this one currently. Thanks for the inquiry. How can I help you better? How can I help you create the kind of lifestyle that we're living or the lifestyle that you want to live? What is it that you're looking for? And then people just start going crazy and unloading on you. Whereas before, I would get instant remarks from people that, just that rejection wall comes right up. It looked like you were getting ready to say something. Like, go! Tag team. And so I think with Tom's question, a lot of it has to do with just the way that you feel about it. And,
correct.
Right? It has everything to do. And so if we have fun with it, guys, and, for instance, I'm going to use Inge and Tom because I love using their example because they have a villa here in Bali. And so there are some questions that they could actually ask even in email or in Messenger with someone that's interested in their villa. How could we make your experience more pleasurable? Right? What could we do differently, or what could we do to help your family feel more relaxed? Like even just those little questions can help people move, feel better about you, make a bigger decision. For instance, we've been talking quite a bit about ascension and packaging up and bundling, more items that you may have to offer your customers, just based on asking what more they would want. And I think those are the kind of questions that some people are grasping for, like what more? What is to make it not sound so salesy? But it's not just the salesy talk; it's how you feel about it. It's you letting go of that. Would you say that's?
Yeah, it's not salesy. I mean, it's again, it's to do with it doesn't worry me if you do or don't do this. I mean, listen to what I just did with regards to that offer, right? Is like I said, here's an e-course. It's a free e-course. So if you like this, look at it and go through it. And if it resonates with you, email me, and I'll give you as a gift access to the audio. All right. But I also said, put some qualifiers around it. Now, why do I do that? Because I'm not really interested in just giving out free stuff all the time. I'm interested in talking with people who want to make a change in their lives. Mm-hmm. And so I'm qualifying as I go through. So it's not a numbers game for me. I'd rather talk with people who really do want to make a change because it makes life easier, and it gives me the ability later on to offer them a higher level of learning. Like I have right now, I have a mastery, a natural selling mastery class. It's comprised of 4 people only. It's $3,000. It's 10 sessions, and we go deep. We go very, very deep, and it's done in a group format, and it's great. It's 1.5 hours each session, and it's very, very powerful. Ultimately, you can reach that, or ultimately you can go higher than that. You can get a certification on teaching natural selling, and you can also go higher than that. And I did a course called Natural Selling and the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, because I'm a certified trainer with Deepak Chopra in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success in the workplace. And so the whole thing is that I've learned to get rid of all the peripheral stuff and just hone it down and concentrate on those people who are interested in making a change. And if you create that energy, that's what you attract. And it's a much smaller group of people. So it's nothing to do with large S. It's a much smaller group, but it's kind of fun, Here's something that does come to me as well. Is something I want to share with everyone. Is that one of the biggest challenges with online marketers is that they're afraid of talking to people, with people, I should say. And if you can write this down as a quote, the real money is in the conversation. The real money is in conversation. Absolutely. If you look at those companies, okay, who have phone sales teams, and both Drew and I are very familiar with those, Drew especially with his own company, right, is that the money is in the ability to be able to talk with someone. You can make money online. If you're really good at it, you can make money online. But you can increase it by 50% or 100% by taking the sales commissions that the sales guys would be doing, just by understanding how simple it is to pick up the phone. You've got to learn a bit, but that's how you do it. You can also, if there is no phone sales team in your company, you can learn to pick up the phone, and you can literally double your sales just by talking with somebody, just by talking with someone. And so the whole aspect of selling, natural selling, and being able to do this, you can take this anywhere in the world with you. Like, I'm going to London and Croatia next month, right? And I'm going to be plugging in, and with this, just one this group, an hour and a half each week. I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing. I've got a couple other things as well, but that's the kind of the laptop lifestyle, which is a really nice lifestyle to have.
You know what? It's really obviously interesting to me to hear you say what you just said, because someone recently asked me to to look at doing some phone sales in their what they consider to be a high-ticket lead generation company. So they do lead generation, and they sell lead packages, and they do it they have like a whole suite of what I would call low ticket, typically under, say, $1,000 packages. And then they've got what they consider to be high ticket, a whole bunch of stuff over $1,000 going up to $8,000, which I'd still consider quite low ticket, funnily enough. Anyway, this is really interesting. So the guy says to me, would you be interested? And I said, look, I'm sure I'm happy to have a look at, look at what your process is. I want to sort of understand how you connect with your customers and what the sales track is and whether we can add value to that. And he said, oh, fantastic. And he said, so I suppose I need to give you everything about the products. And I said, I don't need to know anything about your products. And he's like, what? How can you sell stuff if you actually don't know about my products? And I said, well, first and foremost, I'd sort of want to just understand your process. Mm-hmm. And then the process of selling anything to anyone is not rooted in me knowing the intricacies of what your product or even service is. First things first, I want to sort of understand sales track, the process that you go through to engage with your customers, what your existing people are actually, what are they actually doing? Are you doing phone sales? Like, what does that whole thing look like? And then, we can call some of your customers and just do what we do and see whether there's something that we can add value here. So the real point that I'm making about this is, guys, could somebody that became skillful at this walk into a Ferrari sales showroom and put a fine suit on and go about selling Ferraris without actually understanding what was under the hood or what was in the driver's manual? In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Because you're not selling conventionally, you're not selling on benefits, you're not selling on features. You have to, and it's like the reason why I think you have to make a sort of a commitment to yourself, a decision that this is something that you want to become, let's call it skillful at. So you're making that conscious decision that you're going to develop some skills and hone some skills and become really effective in the art and science of the conversation and this, what we call natural selling. Because I hear, from time to time, I even use the language. I even say, I'm going to go and use some natural selling on this person, or I'm going to go and do natural selling, which is sort of even the wrong. It's even the wrong frame of mind for me to be in, and for the wrong way to sort of position it. Because, if we just assume for a moment that I'm the student and Michael's the master, the sensei, then you can see the gap between someone that's truly detached and somebody that's working towards detachment. Because it's not like when I put the headset on, I don't have to put my lucky t-shirt on and my headset on and do some warm-up exercise to start calling, smiling and dialing. Because if you're truly detached, you just go about calling your people back, and instantly you're in that detached state where you're connecting with someone. And when the conversation's over, very rarely, if a sale is made, are you fist pumping either, mm-hmm. or doing a happy dance. I mean, you might do that initially from the get-go, But do you see where I'm coming from with this? I think there are degrees of detachment, and you sort of, as somebody getting skillful at this, you actually do go from your little warm-up exercise, banging out the calls, fist pumping when you make a sale, to slowly but surely, as you refine your craft here, then you're just in the moment, you're connected with the person, it's a natural conversation, and if you've been able to help that person, I think the one thing that Micheal said over and over and over and over and over, and everyone really needs to get this, you can very quickly assess whether there's a sale to be made if you can determine quickly whether the person is open to change. Because if you can't detect quickly that the person is open to change, and I won't define what quickly is, but that should be the essence of your focus, then a sale isn't even there in the first instance, right? And for you to try and manipulate and force that pushes the anxiety onto you and the anxiety on the person. So if you can, as quickly as possible, whatever that looks like, get to the point where that person recognizes for themselves that they are open to change, then you've actually got someone to work with. And when that environment exists, then there is detachment, there's no pressure, there's no anxiety, it's all sort of a natural conversation. It would be just like you and me, Rhonda, talking, if we were sitting over the dinner table. Yeah. Hopefully I've added some value there.
Like, yeah, sounds good.
Oh, and I've got one more tip. If you do go to a barbecue and you don't want anyone to speak to you, you don't ask a question. When they ask you a question and they say, so, what is it that you do? You say, I'm in network marketing. Can I tell you about products?
That tends to keep people pretty quiet. Right? That's always it's that puking your information on your friends. I did it the very first time I started in network marketing, and my girlfriend, she was in my wedding, has never once asked me my business again. It's been 11 years, so I learned the hard way.
It's really funny. I actually teach this. I think I taught it at our event just recently there in Bali when somebody said, look, I'm really struggling to understand what I say to someone in that first interaction, whether it be in a social situation or whatever. And I said, well, it really comes down to what you intend to, what your intent is from the interaction. What do you want to get out of it? If you just want to have a nice, casual conversation and drink a few beers and have a piece of steak at a barbecue and someone wants to engage you, then use the network marketing line. If you want to be interesting at the barbecue and connect with someone, then ask them a question. And you can't get it wrong. It really doesn't matter what question that you ask, as long as you lead with a question and you're prepared to be in the present moment and then follow up with some further questions. Pretty simple.
So listen, I gotta go because I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble anyway. I'm in trouble because I'm late anyway. So I'm gonna leave you with this, okay? Is that I'll leave you with sort of two different feelings here. The first is the conventional way of thinking with regards to selling is that, and with network marketers and direct sellers, that type of thing, is that what they do is consciously or subconsciously, they get up in the mornings and they think to themselves, I want to increase my business today, okay, which is fine, that's good. I want to increase my business today. In order for me to do that, I've got to go out and prospect as many people as possible and sign them up into my business. Okay, that's the general thinking. You can vary it a little bit, but that's the general thinking. As opposed to natural selling thinking, which is, I get up in the morning and I say to myself, I want to increase my business today, which is fine because you've got to do that, okay? But you put it on the shelf. And so you say, get up in the morning, I want to increase my business today. In order for me to do that, I have to go out and talk with, not go and prospect, go and talk with as many people as possible to discover if they have the types of problems that I might be able to help them solve. Now listen to the words. I mean, if you want to get a grounding in the whole aspect of natural selling, listen to the difference between I have to go out today to prospect as many people as possible and sign them up into my business, as opposed to I must go out and talk with as many people as possible to discover if they have the types of problems that I might be able to help them solve. Can you feel the difference in energy? The energy is, if you can, is huge. That's where you come from. And if you want somewhere to start, think in that way and start feeling all those dendrites, all those negative dendrites, all the stuff that you've been taught. Start pushing them back down again. Start thinking differently. And if you want any help, I'm here to help. Rhonda's here to help. And who's that? Oh, Drew, that's right. Drew is here to help. Drew's here to help. And take me up on my offer, and maybe we'll all meet and do something together or something like this. But I got to, first of all, thank you, Rhonda, for hosting the show, and for Drew for the minor aggravation every now and then, and which is cool. And I wish you all the best. And I would just say, for those who are in the business of enrolling people, go forth and multiply. Bye.
Thank you, Michael. Enjoy your evening, and we'll be in connection, because what we're going to talk about right now, we might have to invite you to join us. So, but you can, we'll talk later. Thank you again. I always respect and love your words of wisdom, and I know everyone else does as well. So go out and create a perfect day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Awesome. Well, Drew, that was amazing to have Michael here, and I really want to thank you for being here with me, because I know the experiences that you've certainly shared have really transformed the way you communicate, but really transformed your business. It's done the same with me, and you brought up something that I wanted to bring up, because I know everyone really they enjoyed the show, and there could be a couple other questions that came up. Is be interesting, not interesting. Be interested, not interesting.
Yeah, be interested, not interesting. It's just a little and it's like one of those little mantras that you should impress into your subconscious. And then when you find yourself in any setting, and you're starting to, you can find your anxiety raising if you put so much expectation on something. So if you're finding yourself, you're about to go into a situation, just a little trigger like that, hey, look, go easy with it. Deep breath, be interested, not interesting. Because the more interested you are in other people, the more interested they immediately become in you.
And this is just great advice in everyday life, right? It's just truly, and it's about the way that the energy that you bring. You don't have to be boisterous, and outrageous like I am, because Drew's rather mellow, right? So we've got to respect Swan. Oh my goodness, and he's in his normal Swano afternoon days, rather quiet and reserved, and really asks a lot of questions. But
or he could be on the floor.
He
could be on the floor. He could be on the floor in a coma, snoring his head off with a masseuse on his neck.
It's true, because that has.
While we're doing all the work.
That happens a lot. But there's one question too that I think that will help everyone, and it relates to the way that we are and the way that we communicate as Freedom-Preneurs. Is we just use that cliche. It's now become a cliche. Is great to meet you. Well, so tell me, because we're. Love talking about living our perfect day. What does your perfect day look like? I have used that question billions of times in a place, and in an interaction, or whether it's a party or whatever it might be, because that is such a good feeling question, and it can lead into everything, because what does it do? It pre-frames them to start thinking, wow, my perfect day is being more with my kids, doing this, maybe traveling the world. So if you have a solution for that, right, now they're opening it up to more interaction, and them asking you, what is your perfect day? Oh, well, mine is, and I'm living it right now. And I've used that so often, and it's not manipulative. It's just a way to be connected with someone and allow them to just want to communicate and talk with you, and it can lead into any direction.
Can I? Yeah. So, what you've just, the beautiful thing about natural selling, it's such a natural fit with Freedom-Preneur. Yeah. Like seriously, and I'm not using natural selling on you now. Literally, the whole art and science of natural selling is a natural fit for anyone that actually understands what Freedom-Preneur is all about, and why it's important that people just be their natural self, and live in integrity and make sure everything that they do is congruent, and live each day being the best version that they can be of themselves and becoming that person. You know, because if you think about all of that, when you peel the onion, you know, when you peel the onion of the reason that drives most people to do anything that they do, at the core of that is usually the love of family, and you know, and how they want to provide and, you know, service and educate and contribute and leave legacy and all of this sort of stuff, you know, and live their perfect day. So those types of, that question is so congruent with Freedom-Preneur movement. Because think about this, someone said this to me one day, if you think about what normally happens in an everyday interaction with somebody that you don't know, and this often happens at barbecues. We didn't talk about it when Micheal was on the call, but you know, many of you on this call now would have heard that acronym FORM, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Money. Now, there's two schools of thought around this. The one school of thought, particularly when it comes to, you know, natural selling, is that you shouldn't use that contrived acronym to drive a conversation, and I would agree with that. But if you accept what I'm about to say, that most everyday people that are stuck in the groove, like the, you know, and I'm not being disrespectful here, but I just want to make a point. You know, if most everyday people are in that sort of herd mentality and they're stuck in a groove, then you'll notice that the conversation that you have with those types of people that are still relatively closed-minded follow FORM as the acronym. You'll meet them for the first time in the conversation, or if you overhear the conversation, if you're close by, will be, you know, one person will ask the other, you know, how's family? And they'll deal with family. And then they'll say, how's business, how's work? And they'll deal with work. And then they'll say, oh, how's golf? Or whatever they're interested in, and they'll deal with that. And eventually the conversation finds its way back around to economics and money. And they'll start talking about how crap the economy is, why the government's no good, you know, superannuation, blah, 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 how their life sucks. And that sort of is the general flow. Now, the reason why I raise that is because we need to be acutely aware of that as freedompreneurs, and we also need to be acutely aware of it as people that are engaging in conversation. Because if you want to grasp immediate attention from somebody, then don't start a conversation with them in the normal flow of how they think an interaction is going to start.
Exactly.
You know, don't ask them about little Johnny. Don't ask them about their job. Just completely break the mold on that, and ask them a feeling-based question that's more directed at them. Most people that meet you for the first time will, you know, and particularly, I think this is predominantly male, they'll probably ask the other male, so what do you do?
Right.
That's probably the first question, what do you do? As if an answer to that, you know, is going to define for them, you know, what the interaction is going to be like. You know, because as soon as you say, what do you do, what you're asking the person is, define for me how you earn money. Like, define for me, you know, what your life is made up of. Whereas a more powerful question is the one that you just asked. Or it's not, what do you do? It's actually, you know, hey, Drew, what is it that you're passionate about? You know, what are the things that really inspire you? You know, how do you spend your time that brings you the most joy? Because you imagine if we were at a barbecue setting and someone didn't ask me what I do for a job, and they didn't ask me about my gorgeous wife over there, but they sort of said to me, hey, you know, I've heard that you're a really passionate snow skier and that you love going to Japan. Tell me about that. What is it that inspires you about that? How does it make you feel? Like, that now totally has my attention, because they're not asking me, what do I do? They're breaking the norm of the way in which most people think about conversations. That's important in natural selling too.
And it's what we like to call also pattern interrupt, right? Because we're so used to doing, and even if you're in the middle of a conversation, you're thinking, ooh, this is getting towards too far down the business track, and it's not really ready to talk about that yet. You can easily change and just insert emotional question, or insert fun. I always just say insert fun. Like if I get into a point where I feel that a conversation's either going a direction I just don't want it to even go in, you can even change your own direction. And that's kind of on the other side of natural communication and selling, right? If someone's getting ready to pitch me, I just switch the conversation. So we can do both, but do it in a great way. You're like, gosh, you know what? I just was, down by the beach. I saw this gorgeous purple starfish. It just blew me away. Have you ever seen a purple starfish? I've done that a million times. Toss in something completely outlandish because I'm like, oh gosh, this guy's getting ready to pitch me, and let me give him some lessons in getting away from the pitch and getting into the connection, and then it ends up either migrating that way if you want it to later. But I think it's a great way for us both to understand how do you lead into a great conversation, especially the Freedom-Preneur way, and then how do you get out of one as well.
Yeah.
Important.
Exactly. And this is why, the material that Micheal has in terms of the audio program and the book, I would recommend to everyone on this call to get their hands on the audio program, the one that I've been listening to as I go cycling every day. That's the one you want to listen to because they're 1 hour long micro lessons. It's really succinct. It really opens you up to everything. It gives you've got within sort of 6 or 7 hours, you've got a total overall perspective of this, and then you can make a decision to become masterful at this. And why would I encourage that to anyone on this call? Not because I want them to become the next best salesperson, but if nothing else, just to improve the way that they communicate with their children and their wife.
Right.
And anyone and any significant relationship that they have around them, because it will definitely change the way that you do things. It'll change the way that you approach every communication. So that's one of the reasons why I would recommend it. And therefore what I'm suggesting is that there is a bit of time and effort that you need to put in to the learning. Now that's the logic side of it. That's not emotional. So you put all of the emotional stuff to the side. Just commit to being a student of the framework of natural selling. What are the principles? What are the 5 stages of dialogue? What are the structure of the questions? What are they? Because remember, Micheal said it's about knowing the right type of questions to ask at the right time.
Yeah.
Now there are 5 types of questions. I'm not saying there are 5 questions, there are 5 types of questions. And the 5 types of questions can be deployed at different stages of the dialogue, and there are 5 stages of dialogue, and that is all underpinned by 4 principles. And see, once you understand the 4 principles, the 5 stages of dialogue, and the 5 types of questions, you have a communication armory that will serve you in any area of your life.
Yeah, I can't even agree with you more. It's because I do remember when I started, and I didn't understand the framework initially. I was just going for it, and then when you really just start, you just hear it over and over again. In fact, Regina, Mike, myself, were in a car on the way up to North Bali to Inge and Tom's amazing Villa Bloom. Big plug here in the Freedom-Preneur show. We always do that for everyone, is plug their businesses and help others grow. Inge and Tom invited us up there, and Regina and Mike and I on the way home, we just started listening to Michael's work. And I hadn't listened to that audio program in years. We had the book, and I hadn't really listened to it. And it opened up so much for me just by going back through just understanding the types of questions, right? The types of questions and when to necessarily insert them. If you just get that framework, your mind works so differently. In fact, because we just had a interaction with a local place here, and we did a review, and they got really ticked off, right? For us giving a live and honest review. And what I realized is that I probably could have asked a question differently, although the approach came to me in a different way that I didn't like. I could have approached it differently and changed the outcome of this conversation. And that triggered for me that you know, if we don't, it's like taking a shower, right? You get dirty if you don't take a shower. In our mind, we forget this format. We forget sometimes the right questions and when to insert them at the right time in all areas in our lives. And so the fact that Micheal did give away his e-course is awesome, because I noticed that he said that he's going to be increasing the price. He's giving it away, and if you guys are here watching, it's on the right-hand side. A button should have popped up, and if it didn't for you, and you guys are watching either the recording or you're watching your live, refresh the screen. That button will be there at, you know, at like 30 minutes into this call, it should have popped up. And so if you're watching this, you know, live or recorded, that button should be there. Otherwise, if it's not, it's naturalselling.com. And he's given away that e-course, and I think that that's a really great start. That's where we started, and then now we're continuing to really grow our mindset in the audio course.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, you know the other thing that I want the community to think about right here, right now, is also, you know, the reason why we've aligned together and we're starting to put more emphasis on discovery calls and strategy sessions. And I was talking to Mike about this yesterday. He and I were on the phone together, and I just said, hey, you know what, mate, I want you to start thinking differently about your business. It's not just about lead generation that lead on to, you know, converted front-end sales. A measure of your business to escalating growth is going to be determined by how many conversations you have with your customers. So it's more about how can you generate a lead, convert that lead into a customer that's got their hand up saying, I've got a problem and I think you have a solution to my problem, but I'm not sure. And the next phase of that is moving that person to committing to a discovery call, and then from a discovery call to a strategy session. Because if you're a high-level business coach, or you're doing, you know, sort of anything, when I say high-level, if you're trying to sell high-ticket programs, whether it be coaching programs, courses, workshops, events, experiences, or even a high-ticket deal, the metric that will determine the growth of your business is not necessarily going to be leads generated. It's going to be how many people are committed to actually speaking with you. And you can pretty much predict your company's, your business revenue and your profitability by how many of those calls that you've got scheduled. So I just want to sort of pass that on to people, because we're introducing a couple of interactive stages here in Freedom-Preneur, and we really want to see people engage in that, right?
Yeah, and it's a powerful connection. I think what you're saying too. There's two sides, especially when many people are on the online marketing side, right? They're like, oh, I want, some of us have been programmed to just put down the phone, right, and just let this traffic work. And although that does work, if we are here for, my true purpose is to help inspire more people to discover what their best life is and what the best options are for them, then I do need to interact more. We need to have that conversation. And so there is a one part of school thought of like, okay, let's understand the metrics and the conversions and get people in the front. But this is why you said something earlier, Drew. You said understanding the sales process. What is the sales process that we've got? If you'll all notice, yeah, we've got traffic and we're bringing people in, but what happens is as we educate them, and you're going to start seeing some things rolling out, not only in our community, which is our newer sales funnel that we've got, we're bringing people in with a little bit of attention, idea, a little attraction, and then we're teaching them something. We're actually giving them something, a way of amazing value, and then they get inside for a less expensive course, right, and they're learning more, and then we pick up a phone. Even if they're spending just a small amount of money, now we're going to begin to pick up the phone so that we can say, well, if our intention at Freedom-Preneur Movement is to help you get from right here to your ideal lifestyle, but it could take you 52 weeks, it could take you 6 weeks, take you 10 years, who knows where they're at and their point. The point is that now by communicating with them on the phone, we understand where you guys are at. That's why these strategy sessions now, anyone that went lifetime are getting really it's a discovery call into a strategy session. We've got a discovery call, and then we've got 2 follow-ups that we're including in that, because our mission here in the Freedom-Preneur movement and joining the academy is that we can understand what your needs are and point you in the right direction, whether it mean staying part of the movement in the academy because you just want to learn, you got a business, you like the community, or if it means, hey, you know, I want to add on a larger scale, maybe a high ticket, or leverage multiple streams of income differently, and I want to you know, discover what the options are, then we're able to now hand off to our partnership, which is with the Alliance and with Drew and his team, so that now we are being the all-encompassed space of trusted advice, not looking to what we can sell you next. And I think this is a shift of where things are going, and where people that I've worked with in the past, Drew, and probably yours, are now seeing the difference.
Yeah, exactly. I had, you know, just case in point, and you know, I'll respect privacy and the like, but, you know, like I had a 37-minute conversation today with Darvani as the first round of her, what will probably be 3 or 4 stages of conversation with her, and that's because she has lots of elements in place and is doing some amazing stuff under your advice and guidance in regards to her personal brand. She's got some online, I call them assets, some online assets, custom assets in place. She's now understanding more about ascension, but doesn't know how to pull that together with what she already has and what she needs in place to build a stronger connection with her community, and to also start to what I would call monetize on the front end her passion for cooking and affiliation with any products or services that are in that sort of niche or genre, but still has a strong desire to create more affiliate income streams to allow her to, you know, to perpetuate that, you know, what she's passionate about. So I think today she closed the call out by saying, hey, thank you, you know, I'm a lot clearer now on what I need to do, what I need to do with what I've got, what I now need to go and research and look into to allow us to have a second round discussion that will even be a little bit more meaningful to her, and then we'll reach a point where we can sort of lay out a strategy on how she gets the most out of what she already has, what elements she needs to add, and then a recommendation on some other affiliation products or services that could take her into, you know, the high ticket realm. That's the beauty of this, because you've got a community. There's a community of people here in Freedom-Preneur that are probably at the same stage as Darvani. You know, like you're in the space. You believe in this. You've probably got lots of pieces to the puzzle, but maybe they're disconnected or they're not working in a certain way. You're now hearing new terms that you're sort of going, well, how does that apply to me? And how do I package and bundle and create ascension? And, you know, and if I want something else, where do I go and get that? Yeah. So we've got a process here, and people really need to jump in and engage in that.
Yeah, I agree, and it's exciting because, you know, there's a lot of people. We've got a lot of new people that are just kind of, you know, just things are starting. And you guys got, you know, inside early, and you're privy to a lot of the newness that's happening. But, you know, our mission is still true. It is to help more people, you know, really live their perfect day. And how can we do that? And if we can be of more service to you, whether it's through, you know, a discovery call, you know, connecting, you know, letting you just get inside to understand, that's really what we're about. And, you know, we're more, you know, obviously family related, and it's because I know that the more connected we are to our people and their needs, and we're connected to them, we'll know what their needs are, and we can help them move forward. And, you know, the more freedompreneurs and, you know, successful stories that we've got, the world changes. The world changes, and people begin to take more control. They begin to trust more people, and they're not going to feel like they're being taken advantage of because we're always here. And so what we're going to be doing, guys, and many of you, Drew and I just completed a training on really helping you decide and selecting the business model that may be appropriate or right for you, or maybe helping you just understand what they look like. And if you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend that you do. It's going to help you, make some decisions or open up your mind a bit more to where you currently are in your business or in the development of your business. It's under the choosing a business model module. I think it's module number 4. If you do log into the Academy, I suggest that you guys watch that. And then it'll also give you an opportunity, if the need is there, that you want to have a higher end discussion about high ticket or adding on Ascension, we can do that as well. And that's present there. But then, Drew, I think the call's been going quite a bit of time. We've got a lot of people that have been here the whole time. And there's going to be some new things rolling out. If many of you guys noticed, we're heading to Dubai in 2 weeks. I also just released that in the end of November, potentially the 1st of December, we will be going back to Dubai for a Freedom-Preneur event. It's going to be the biggest event I think that we'll probably ever host, because there's some really neat things that are coming out of it. The partnerships and relationships we're now gathering by going to Dubai is going to really blow things away. In fact, the gentlemen that are running the Speak Dubai event, they want to have their event right in front of ours. They want to mirror it against our events. Like, gosh, if we can teach people how to speak on stages and create their signature talk and be on their own TED Talk stage, get them media. What if we started inviting them to your event to teach them how to market themselves, how to put their message together? So this just developed from sharing what our mission was, them sharing their mission. We've got tribe members going to Dubai to learn to speak and to get themselves on stages in front of thousands of people. And now we're bringing our event at the end of the year. It's going to be the culmination of the year. And so a lot of things are happening because people see what our mission is, Drew. They see who we are, what we want to offer to people, and how we can help serve them more. And now they want to partner with us and do more. And how can I bring people into the Academy, and how can I allow people to feel safe in this environment, because you aren't here to sell me anything, right? We're not here to sell you. You just learn from Micheal Oliver. We're not here to sell you anything. We're helping to see what fits for you, and if we can create a solution, great, happy days. Otherwise, it's just hang out and have a glass of wine on the beach, right? But it's that's what the intentions are. But in between then, we are also, I'm going to talk to Drew, because I know I have him here after this is over, about a private second event that we would like to have either here in Bali at the end of June or in Australia, is so that we can help some of you get this business in a box model set up. This is part of Drew's alliance mission. A lot of you have been asking questions about it. Guys, I want this business in a box. I want to come, I want to learn, and I need to apply it, and I'm ready to do it now. I want to add on some high ticket if that's something that's needed. And that's something that Drew we just ended here in April. And so keep your eyes and ears open, because in the next week we will be making some announcements and inviting some of you to see if that's something that you want to do and join us, if that fits where you're at in your business now, so that we can insert another business in a box event, digital lifestyle event, into the mix coming up at the end of June. And then, of course, get you guys ready for the big bad doggy of them all in Dubai. And we will be also giving away a free seat. I'm just going to say that right now. That funnel's almost ready for you guys to engage in, and we're really excited. So I'm letting cats out of the bags, because we got little kittens all over the house. It's like herding cats.
Kids are cats.
So
awesome.
Thanks for, yeah. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Value out of today. So make sure you guys grab Oliver's course on the right-hand side, and then be in connection with us. Get inside the group. Share outside. A lot of times inside our group, guys, the interaction is amazing, but sometimes the world deserves to hear it too. So feel free to share what you've learned or what you just saw. Take a snapshot of the page of what you were just learning, and then share it of what you learned and the excitement, because that's usually how people end up saying, "What the heck are you doing? What is this?" And sure enough, then they're able to engage and join the community and join the tribe, and the movement. So, Drew, what do you say? Shall we tell Todd to turn it off of live so I can capture you right here for 5 minutes?
Oh, damn, is that going to happen? I'm going to go and make some calls.
You always
Yeah.
you can't.
Let's go. Yeah,
Okay.
let's get
All right.
Let's get everyone on here. Perfect day.
Have a great one, everyone. And as always, be unstoppable. We'll see you in the next